Welcome back to the Deliberate Leaders Podcast. I am your host, Allison Dunn, Executive Business Coach. Our guest today is Kristen Butler. She is going to be sharing with us the power of positivity in expanding our comfort zone. She is a best-selling author and the CEO of The Power of Positivity, with a community of over 50 million followers globally. Kristen earned Success Magazine's Emerging Entrepreneurs Award in 2022. She is a leader, a writer, and a visionary in personal development with a huge heart and a captivating authenticity. Her mission is to uplift the planet. Kristen, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here, Allison. I'm excited to have a great chat.
Me too. I love to kick these off with a deliberate conversation. What would be your number one leadership tip for our listeners?
Oh, that's so good. I think having a positive mindset as a leader can get you through any challenge. And it's definitely something that you want to, amplify in your own life and be a great leader for the rest of your team to also develop that characteristic trait. So I think positive mindset for sure is number one.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Do you find that some people come at approach with positivity and some naturally don't have that? Is there something we could do to work on our power of positivity?
I love that. I do feel like some people just have that kind of built in, or at least it seems like they do, but it also could just be that they've practiced it more, right? Or they've had the right positive influences to really help develop that. And so I believe anyone can develop that. And I love to just kind of ask my team what they're grateful for to start the conversation and to start the meeting. I think it's so important for us to get in that mindset and in that direction when we're approaching anything.
I know that you have a story to share. Can you share how you started your power of positivity?
Yeah, so a decade and a half ago I hit rock bottom, and it was really after burning myself out so many times, chasing success and trying to do my best. Really, I had great intentions, but after many bouts of burnout, I hit rock bottom and I was in bed for 2 weeks straight. And you can read about my story on my website, so I'll keep this short. But from that place, it was really positivity that got me out of that. I started with gratitude that I had a bed to sleep on, that I had a roof over my head. And at that time, I had lost my business. And it was like, Kristen, you can start fresh. You can start something new. And so as I began to adopt these positive lifestyle habits, everything just started to get better and better in every area of my life. And even in the work that I was doing, I started doing work that I loved. And so as that grew, and then Facebook started pages, I was like, I think I'm going to create something, but I'm going to not make it about work, because before that, I was recovering from constantly burning out, and I was like, I'm going to do something that I just love. And so I started Power of Positivity. And over a few years time, I think about 4 years it took, I realized I could monetize it and that I could actually do it full time. And I loved it so much that I was like, yes, I want this to be my life's work. And so it's been, I think it'll be 15 years in June, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I love what I do.
It's fantastic. I think that we started tracking, like when we bring guests onto the show, one of the things that we look for is someone who does have, a lot of followings and a reach. And as far as I know, short of maybe two other people, I think you have the largest following of anyone I've ever had on the show. How did you
Wow.
do? How did you do?
It just took time. It was, slow growth. 15 years, you can accomplish a lot when you're consistent.
Mhm.
And when you love what you do, I think that energy is very important. And so I harnessed my skill set. I had a background in journalism. I loved writing, and, I loved quotes. And so I just took what I loved to do and what I knew, and I started from there, and I grew. And I think it's so important, the energy behind something when you start. And I really didn't have a huge expectation. I just wanted to help people, and I wanted to I was so excited. I wanted to share my transformation, not necessarily personally, but just the things I was doing. And so when you come from that place, I think anything's possible.
I agree. So you're talking about sharing like some tips. Could you share a couple of tips, 3 to 5 tips that entrepreneurs and even just business cultures should consider to include power of positivity?
I think our morning and evening routines are so important. So, number one, your routine. Have a very consistent morning and evening routine so you can start the day in a positive way, and then you can end the day in a restful way. So you get ample amount of sleep. And so I think that's been so pivotal to my success, that I'm very consistent about what I do, and I do things that recharge me and nourish me. So everyone's different, whatever that looks like for you. For me, I exercise, I journal, I have positive affirmations. I love learning, so I'm always studying and, reading, 5 to 10 pages a day at least, and then writing up what I find from that so that I can remember it and use it in my daily life. So if setting yourself up in that way is just so powerful. Number two, I think gratitude. And so I put gratitude in my morning and evening routine, but it's just, there's so much that comes at us every day that we need to remind ourselves of the things that are still going right. And so gratitude might seem like it's not anything that will help you make more money, but really, actually, it puts your mind in the right place, that when you do start working, you're in the flow. You have creativity, and ideas are going to come to you faster and better. And then, number three, I would say, would be just to stay consistent in the things that matter. I love to align my purpose with my habits. And when I'm consistent on those things, I create success. So, for example, this year I really wanted to promote my book in a big way. And so I was very consistent with interviews and media training. And so I showed up in all of these areas that helped amplify the message of my book. I was very consistent. And through that consistency, I had results.
Awesome. One of your books is Comfort Zone. And as an executive coach, I talk about comfort zone a lot. So I would love your take on when does our comfort zone serve us? When is it not our enemy? I think is your positioning on it a little bit. So if you could give us some insights into that.
Yeah, I spent over half of my life living outside of my comfort zone. And I always wanted to change my circumstances and be successful. And so I followed that advice. And while I found success, I also found many bouts of burnout. So I think it's so important that we find balance in this pursuit. And so what I found through my journey was that when you're in a quote unquote comfort zone, you're not actually in a comfortable place. You have fears and doubts and insecurities that keep you stuck and paralyzed. And so you're really not very comfortable. And so when someone is in that place, I think it's important that we ask them, actually, what are you comfortable doing? And I don't mean, Netflix and chill. I mean, like, where are your skill sets? What are you good at? What brings you joy? Because when we really look at this human experience, we do want to grow innately. We do want expansion. We want to try new foods and go to new places and meet new people. That's who we truly are. That's what's comfortable. So my version of the comfort zone is a little different. It's a place that's actually comfortable, where you are enjoying your life, but you're also growing. And so what I found is that you can expand your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be this small static place where nothing grows. In fact, you want it to be as big as you possibly can so that no matter what happens in your life, you are ready to, you know, tackle it and you're ready to handle it instead of, you know, feeling scared or worried about what's going to happen. And so I feel like it's a really great mindset shift, especially if someone deals with mental health issues or anxiety, like I had. So I think it's just a great mindset shift if we can learn to expand our comfort zones.
I love that. In the combination of even just comfort zones and the power of positivity, what are some things that people who are listening, who are leaders, leading people who may be operating in their comfort zone and not in the power of positivity? What are some tips that you would give to them to draw people in the right direction or in that direction, whether it's right or wrong? I don't know. Not for me.
I feel like when you feel like you're in this stuck and paralyzed place, this current comfort zone that people feel like, it's really important to see, like I said, what it is that you like to do, what it would be fun for you, what would bring you joy, what's work that you feel like you can contribute to the world. When we go within and we really understand our preferences, that's usually what helps us get unstuck. And then when we take action on that, of course, action is really what creates that momentum. But if we feel good about something and then we take action on it, it just starts to build. And so that's how I believe we can expand our comfort zone. Now, when I was at, rock bottom and feeling stuck, I went to gratitude. And then I also did things that built my self-confidence. I had very low self-confidence. And so when we can work on these things, we can create, better impact in the world and in the work that we do.
I'm curious, and I'd be surprised if you don't have an answer to this, so I apologize if you don't. Do you do a theme word each year when you think about what you're trying to bring into your life? What was your theme word for this year?
Oh, I do actually, and I love that. My theme word for this year was strength. And at first
Okay.
I thought to myself, okay, God, please don't give me too much, to test my strength, right? But what it did was it really built this inner resistance to be able to handle anything that came. I launched a book, I spoke on stage, I went for in-person media interviews, and I did so many things that I had never done before. But I had that inner strength. And so I love having a word of the year. What was your word of the year?
My word this year was transformation. And
Oh,
that showed up in physical transformation and relationship transformation and team transformation. And so it showed up in almost every area of my life. Maybe not intentional, but it did come. The God did provide where I needed some transformation to happen for
yeah,
sure.
I love that. And as I'm on this podcast with you, this is my second day of 75 hard too, right? So now
Oh,
I'm
good
getting the
for
physical
you.
strength, right? I was going to the gym every day,
Mhm.
but now this 75 hard, it really makes you show up twice a day, right? So yeah, I'm definitely getting what I asked for at the beginning of the year for strength.
You're on day two.
Yes,
You've
yes.
got this.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have a word picked for 2024 yet?
I've thought about it a few times and nothing has came yet. So what I'm doing is I'm making a list of the goals that I have for next year, and I know that the word will come from that.
Um, I'm not sure what made me think to bring up this particular card, but I figured you were probably a fellow soul who does have a theme word for the year. I look forward to hearing
Yeah.
what your theme word is for
Did you pick
2024.
one yet?
I'm noodling on one and I've shared it with a few people and they're like, that's perfect. And I'm like, but it's not my typical word. So I'm not sure what I'm wanting it to mean yet, but maybe I'll share it with you here. I've not actually shared it anywhere into the public. So the word silver linings keeps on
Silver
coming towards
linings.
me. And I think that it's maybe just the view that I have in the world, but it's in my brain for a reason. I don't know why yet though. So
Yeah, it'll come to you. I love that.
I'm
It's
still
definitely a positive perspective. So I love that.
yeah, I that's the only reason I share it because it does feel like it's a similarity. Um,
Yeah.
Kristen, you have three best-selling books. Can you tell me a little, or us, a little bit more about those?
Yes. So in 2021, I launched 3 Minute Positivity Journal. And I actually did that on my own through Amazon KDP.
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of like get my feet wet and understand the world of publishing. And I knew that my community needed to take more action, but I also knew that they were busy. So that book helps you to set a morning and evening routine. And it literally takes 3 minutes in the morning and 3 minutes in the evening, but it sets this great intention and puts your mind on the things that you want to create for the day. Because I think when we set that intention, the day can go better than we expected, but we have to be in the right mindset. And so that book was wildly successful. That when I connected with Hay House on the Comfort Zone, they were like, hey, we could take this book and get it translated and get it all over the globe. And so I partnered with them on it. And then we came out with 3 Minute Happiness Journal, which is very similar, but it's a 90-day journey. And the first one is a 60-day journey. So I just think it's so important that we get our mindset right every single day, because we never know what can happen when we're consistent. And day by day, it might not look like much is changing, but you know this, right? Over the years, you're like, my life is completely transformed just because I showed up every single day in the way that I wanted to.
We do a challenge similar to that, and I just believe that you like a 3 minute happiness. Like if you're doing that every single day, 7 days a week, every week for 90 days, and just ongoing, it becomes a habit, and that's just such a powerful habit to ingrain, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I always, you said you were also an avid learner. And so I just wanted to take an opportunity to find out what are you focusing on learning next year and what was your most brilliant learning from this past year?
That's a great question. Right now I am reading Talk Like Ted,
Okay, good.
because I would love to do a TED Talk next year. I don't know where it's going to be or when, but I'm preparing
Matter.
for it. Yeah, so that's my reading for the 75 hard right now. I'm also really studying some old timey stuff like Wallace Wattles with the Science of Getting Rich, and that book is so much more than just wealth. It's like the best way to put your mind every single day to think in this certain way and to feel and to do work in this certain way. And so I'm deeply studying that with a friend. Actually, we did a 30-day challenge last month, and now we're on a second 30-day challenge. I think we're on day 16, where we read a chapter and then we really study it and we send feedback. So that's what I'm working on now. I would say that book, I haven't been asked this question, but I really feel like that book's probably left the biggest impact. And only just because no matter what's happening, it really helps me to think in that certain way and then do work in that certain way that's aligned with what I want to create. And oftentimes we're not as focused on one specific thing. But when we can focus on that one specific thing and act and think like that's already happened, it's just so powerful. So I'm really loving that book this year.
Excellent tip. That is not one that it's not, you said it's an oldie but a goodie. So I'm gonna have to go back, listen to
Yeah,
this
it's
and pick
so
up that
old. I
title.
think, what is it, 1800s? So I'm really in the old timey right now, but I'm loving it because it's like interesting to think about the mindset and the culture back then and then apply it to today.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. I am going to include in the show notes where people can join your 50 million other followers globally. So listeners, if you want to follow Kristen, please go to that link. And Kristen, I just want to thank you for sharing your positive message here with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Allison. I appreciate you and I loved our conversation.
too. Thank you.